Welcome back. Today I'd like to consider another psalm of thanksgiving and praise given by David to his God. Psalm 30, we'll read the entire psalm. A psalm, a song at the dedication of the house of David. I will extol you, O Yahweh, for you have lifted me up and have not let my foes rejoice over me. O Yahweh, my God, I cried out to you, and you healed me. O Yahweh, you brought my soul up from the grave. You have kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. Sing praise to Yahweh, you saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holy name. For his anger is but for a moment. His favor is for life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Now, in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. Yahweh, by your favor you have made my mountain stand strong. You hid your face, and I was troubled. I cried out to you, O Yahweh, and to Yahweh I made my supplication. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it declare your truth? Hear, O Yahweh, and have mercy upon me, O Yahweh. Be my helper. You have turned for me my mourning into dancing. You have put off my sackcloth, and clothed me with gladness, to the end that my glory may sing praise to you and not be silent. O Yahweh, my God, I will give thanks to you forever. David wrote this psalm when they were dedicating his house. He had gone from the shepherd field into the service of King Saul to becoming the king of Israel himself. And David was now reflecting on all that he'd been through and how Yahweh had been faithful to him the entire way. We don't have time in this little meditation to consider everything that David had been through, but just consider where David is at this very moment of his life, becoming the king, and how he had been just recently on the lam, on the run, seeking to evade King Saul. Saul wanted his life, to kill him. For what? For what reason? What had David done to deserve being chased and by the king to be killed? He'd served Saul by serving Yahweh, and so he trusted in Yahweh and defeated Goliath. When Saul and all the army of Israel were unwilling and unbelieving to do so themselves. And Saul became jealous and began to then chase David all over the countryside. David probably felt at times like he didn't know where life was going to go and how it was going to pan out. And yet the entire time, all throughout all that, he remained faithful to God and trusted in God. And now God has done exactly for him what he's declared. And so David states that he himself would extol Yahweh for Yahweh's faithfulness to him. And then he calls, verse 4, he calls for the saints of Yahweh to sing praise to Yahweh as well. What's really neat here is that Hebrew word for saints is the Hebrew word is chasidim. Literally, it's the recipients of the chesed of Yahweh. And as we've considered that, we've seen that that is the faithful, loving kindness of God. And so Yahweh then, or David then, calls upon all these others, you and I, who are the recipients of the faithful, loving kindness of Yahweh, to sing praise to him for who he is and what he has done, and then to give thanks at the remembrance of his name. Those of us who are the recipients of the faithful, loving kindness of Yahweh ought to be ready to burst forth with praise at just even the sounding, the hearing of his name. That when we hear the name of Yahweh, when we hear the name of Jesus, when we hear the name of the one and only true God, that it ought to just well up within us a desire to give thanks and praise to God for who he is and what he has done. David then goes on to give us just one more of these reasons why we ought to do it. And he states, he says, for his anger, the flaring, literally the flaring of his nostrils, for his anger is but for a moment, but his favor, again, literally, ratzon means his pleasure, his delight, is for a lifetime, if you would. That God's anger with his children is just momentary. But the pleasure that he takes in us is for a lifetime. Remember, we were told that Yahweh chastens those whom he loves. And that chastening will yield the peaceable fruit of righteousness. In our times of weeping, whatever the cause, whatever what brought it along into our life, the thing that I can remember and I must remember is that God has a plan and a purpose, and that his anger is but a moment, and that the situation that's going on, however it's caused, is just momentary. But that there is joy and dancing and great gladness that'll last a lifetime. Again, setting my mind on things above, seeking the things which are above, I have to ask myself, what is that lifetime? Is it just here on this earth? Sometimes we see the joy after the cloud, but it's that lifetime that I'm going to spend with him forever. It goes on and on and on. It's never ending. That his pleasure in his children, for his children and in his children, is for everlasting. We are only going to live on this earth for a short time. We're told in the Psalms 70, and if by strength 80 years, some have made it into the hundreds, but not much more. But we will live forever and ever and ever and ever. I can't comprehend it. In the presence of our God. This weeping will last but for a moment. The anger of God is just for a winking of an eye. But he will turn our mourning into dancing, and he will set his pleasure upon us. O saints of his, recipients of his faithful loving kindness, rejoice in the Lord, sing praise to his name, give him the thanks that he rightly deserves, because he loves you, and he has set his affection upon you. And have a blessed day.